All right, welcome back in to Call What You Want. I'm Jimmy Conrad alongside Charlie Chuck Wagon Davies and our very special guest who we teased earlier in the show, San Diego FC's Luca De La Torre. Luca, thank you so much for hanging out with us today.
Thanks. Happy to be here.
Awesome. Okay, so San Diego FC wins their first ever game, an excellent performance on both sides of the ball against the defending champions LA Galaxy. Is that really how you thought it was going to go? Because mainly, it's usually a struggle for expansion sides in their first ever game in existence.
Yeah, I knew we had a good team kind of coming in and that we had good ideas. I think always in football, like the margins are kind of thin, so you never know what's going to happen until the ball goes in or it doesn't go in. But yeah, winning the first game is just really important, in terms of like building excitement for us and having everyone together before our first home game. So yeah, it's really special.
It couldn't have been a better start for San Diego, for the club. But in terms of your ability coming into this league, what did you think of MLS play? Like, these are the defending champions, right? A lot of these guys played at a high level last season. First game of the season, how would you kind of analyze the league, like the level of the league? Is it better than what you thought? Is it about the same? I doubt it's below what you thought. So just in your mind, what do you think coming into MLS, the top quality teams, the top caliber teams, how that, played out for you?
Yeah, I've only played like 2 preseason games and then just the last match. So it's still early to say either way. But I think the level of the players is really good. There's definitely players on every team that you think, oh, wow, good player that you've never, heard of before, because, I haven't watched a lot of the league. Yeah, I think that the level of the individuals is good. Maybe tactically, I think there are things that we're doing here that will help us a lot against other teams.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So, Luca, you scored your first U.S. men's national team goal during an interim basis for us when Mickey Varas was in charge. And now Mickey Varas is your MLS coach. Coincidence? I think not. These are good vibes here, Luca, that I'm saying. But yeah, I don't really have a question other than that. I just want to bring that to everybody's attention. But what I do want to say is, scoring your first goal for the national team, do it against Canada as well. What are your thoughts about the U.S. national team under Mauricio Pochettino and your role within it now that you're getting more playing time outside of what you were getting at Celta?
Yeah, I think I think about things quite small, People always want to ask these big questions. I'm just thinking about the next game. I know that if I get back to playing every week, to contributing a lot and to playing really well, then we can talk about and think about the national team. But at the moment, we have a really important game on Saturday, and that's the most important thing.
So
what a pro! He's a pro, Chuck. He's a pro.
He is a pro. We know that, though.
We know.
Luca, if you're thinking about managers you've played for, how is Mickey Varas different from some of those managers? I mean, you played for Rafa Benitez, a Champions League winning manager. What have you seen over the course of your career? What are some of the things that you like, what you haven't liked, and then where is Mickey Varas fit within that ecosystem?
Yeah, so I knew Mikey as an assistant coach before. He doesn't have the personality that I think most players would normally associate with a head coach, which is kind of interesting. He's a lot more soft-spoken. He's not screaming all the time. So coming into it, honestly, I didn't really know how it was going to work out, but I think he's done a really good job so far. He has really clear tactical ideas. He communicates to players in a way that works for him and it gets his point across. So I think it's been really positive.
So using that as a catalyst for this next question, are you being asked to do more things going forward than maybe you had been in the past with Celta or with the national team? Or are there any different responsibilities that Mikey is now putting on your shoulders that maybe you didn't have in the past?
Yeah, I'm playing more in the pocket than I was kind of in last seasons. Of course, goals and assists are really important there. That's something I'm always working on adding more of. But yeah, obviously I can't lose also the other things that I do for the team on the other side of the ball and progressing the ball and linking up play and stuff. But yeah, that's definitely like the next step for me is having a season with 10 plus goals and assists.
Yeah,
So
that's what's up.
So you, in hearing that, it feels like a lot more is being placed on your shoulders for this team, right? To move them forward. Do you feel more at home? Because I know there's a past quote you had that you said, you can't possibly play your best football unless you feel at home. And it feels like, one, you are back in the United States, you're playing in MLS, but two, maybe your position on the pitch, what is asked of you, makes you feel a little bit more comfortable, more free. Is that fair to say? Do you feel like you're on the right path to be playing your best football?
Yeah, I am physically at home, which is really nice after so long away. I think here we have a good team with good players with clear ideas. So obviously it's a really big opportunity for me personally to really try to explode this season.
Luca's so good. He's good. Chuck, he's got us. He's got us down with the really good, smart, sharp hands. He's been around. He's been around the European press.
You can't break him.
We can't break him. We cannot break Luca De La Torre right now. Okay, so you talked about being away from home for a long time, Luca, and you left home at 15 to go to Fulham's academy.
That's early. Damn.
Really early. How was that experience, and how much did that develop or help you develop kind of as a human ultimately, that now allows you to maybe handle adversity and pressure and expectations in a different way, as opposed to maybe staying in your bubble for a little bit longer?
Yeah, 15 was really young. Looking back at it, I probably would have loved to have something like this here, like San Diego FC here right now. I probably would have stayed a few more years. And it would have been a maybe more smooth kind of path. But yeah, like moving to a different country at 15, being a professional, you're treated like an adult. You have to perform, and if you don't, things go badly for you. So I was kind of thrown into the deep end at a really young age, and I probably suffered early for it. But in the end, with those experiences, I became tougher. I learned a lot, so it put me in a better position now.
Well, you got to travel Europe, travel the world, play at such a high level. You have to look back at your career path and be so impressed with what you've been able to accomplish, given that you left at 15. How many, Jimmy, Luca, we've seen a lot of 15-year-olds in this country that were at a top level, right? And they peter out. They never fulfill their potential. And you have to look back and go, damn, I really have accomplished a lot. So looking back, where do you feel like the most pride? Where do you feel like, man, that was a difficult time, but I overcame it? What are some of those moments?
Yeah, there were a few. I remember one. I was playing for Fulham. I was like kind of 21 years old, and I had a season where I was injured a lot. It was in the last year of my contract, and that was kind of like a moment where like I saw like kind of the cliff, that a lot of guys fall off of.
Yes.
They don't get a chance. They go down a level, they get injured, and then before you know it, they don't really have a career anymore. So that was a moment I remember really kind of realizing my situation, taking a lot of personal responsibility, and then making the most out of it. And I played for the reserves. I did well enough to get signed by Heracles, and then from there, I kind of kept making small steps in my career. But yeah, it's a hard job. A lot of guys fall off that cliff.
Yeah.
Hey, I tell you right now, Jim, I was going to say, Jimmy, people will never quite understand the pressure and the stress of heading into a contract year, and maybe you're not a starter, and figuring out, what's next for me. Can I figure out a way to play and earn a contract? What's my next move? Is somebody going to want me if I'm not playing? And all the pressure that goes into that, and especially if you're dealing with injuries and you got that going on. So props to you, Luca, for staying mentally tough during that, because it's not easy.
Yeah, 100%. I'd also add that when you're talking about development, it's learning how to survive so that you can thrive, right? And it seems like you've done that and figured that out. And to have that self-awareness at 21, to Chuck's point, is really, really impressive. So we bow down to your greatness, Luca. Now, I had the opportunity. Now, obviously, you're 26. You still got plenty of time to go. We're excited about your future as well. I had the opportunity to play against Real Madrid in the Bernabeu way back. I won't even give you the year. And I won't tell you
did.
I won't even tell you the score, Luca. But
who were you playing for?
Who were you playing for?
It was a friendly game. No, it was one of the last friendlies they do.
Okay.
It was an MLS All-Star game, so we got all thrown together last minute. Okay, that's fine. Everybody can roll their eyes. It's fine. But what I learned in that game, it was like R9 Ronaldo, Raul, Zidane, Beckham, Roberto Carlos. I learned so much in those 90 minutes because I learned how efficient those guys are on both sides of the ball. They do not waste any energy. And I came back and I was smarter and I thought smarter and I just played quicker and I just saw another level and it stayed with me. Still, obviously, I'm still talking about it 20 plus years later. But what I wanted to ask you is, had you had that moment where you're like, you're on the field and okay, you don't necessarily, okay, they're good players, but you're starting to pick up on the little things that these world-class guys do. And how did you implemented that into your game?
Yeah, I played twice at the Bernabeu. We lost 2-0. We lost 4-0. I remember in those games, it's always, I think, also dealing with the moment, kind of, I believe, and a lot of other people believe, like, that the differences between the really, really great players and the ones that are really good isn't really that big, In a lot of cases, it can be more mental than anything. What you get with a lot of guys when they go to the Bernabeu, it's like, wow, this is Madrid, and, that's Mbappe, and it just is, can be really difficult to be kind of overwhelmed by that moment. So I think it's more about respecting everyone, whether you play against Real Madrid or against,
Barca.
or a USL team even, it's like really everyone at the professional level deserves your respect, but you also shouldn't be scared of them either, because at the end of the day, they're also just players. I've played games against really big teams where, we've gotten results or definitely deserve to get results. So yeah, it can be done,
So in having that perspective and that experience, how have you been able to translate that to the U.S. men's national team? Because it feels like there are a lot of guys, they play club football and then they make the transition in the international games a little bit different, right? It's mentality, it's the speed of play sometimes, the way that the team is gelling versus what the coach wants from them. How has that helped you make that transition? And where do you feel you are right now in terms of, right, Mauricio Pochettino, new manager? Where do you see yourself in his plans?
Yeah, the national team is difficult because it's really kind of few opportunities, you can end up getting.
Yeah.
Like, I remember when I was playing for Heracles, I was called up a few times and I knew, like, okay, I'm going to get maybe 15 minutes in this game and I have to be really, really good, and that if I can do that, then maybe I'll get another chance and I'll get 20 minutes somewhere else. And then I have to keep on building on that. So I think it's really important to be able to accept that situation. And then you really have to take those opportunities when they come. So yeah, that's kind of the situation I'm in now. Again, I would say that I have to do really well for my club to deserve those 20 or 30 minutes. And then I have to make them count when they come.
Well, speaking of your club, then, Luca, you have your first home game with San Diego FC this weekend against St. Louis City. How are you guys feeling about that? Are you feeling more pressure because it's the first home game, or do you feel like you can relax a little bit because you won the first one against the defending champs away from home in LA?
No, this is going to be a really, really massive game. The stadium's going to be sold out. To win this game, I'd say is more important than winning the first game for us. And yeah, it's just about building kind of this feeling of momentum here, and that, I believe definitely that it's a team that can do something special this year.
Yeah, I mean, it's just one game at a time. This is massive for you. And in terms of the nice iPhone ring. In terms of can you hear us?
I lost you guys. Wait one sec.
Okay.
Vicky, someone's calling you.
Vicky's blowing up right now.
Yeah, come on, Vic.
Come on, Vicky.
Come on, Vic.
Jacob Jackson.
Okay, I'm back. Yeah.
Jacob Jackson. All right. In terms of your season right now and being more of a presence with San Diego, there's no pro relegation, right? How have you continued to kind of keep those juices going, like the competitiveness in training and holding people accountable, and without that pressure of, okay, we're playing for Europe, or we're playing for a promotion, or we're playing for the league championship, or making sure we don't get relegated? How do you keep that same intensity throughout the season?
Yeah, it's definitely about having internal standards. You have to demand more of each other and demand more of yourself. And definitely having competition in the group for minutes is really important also. But at the end of the day, I think the easiest solution is that we just have to be a team that's playing to win something. So we have to make sure that we're up there in the table, that we'll be in the playoffs, and then that we can, hopefully win something.
All right, Luca, before we let you go, part of our tradition, we talk about jersey swaps. Have you, or who's your most famous player that you've ever swapped a jersey with? And or maybe we give an exception here. Sometimes maybe somebody waved you off because
Jimmy got the big wave.
I've been waved off a few times. Listen, let's be honest. Listen, Luca, I went for Riquelme. Okay, we were playing against Argentina in the Copa America, and I went for the big dog, Riquelme. Not only did he wave me off, he didn't even look at me. He wouldn't even make eye contact with me.
He gave him the stiff arm. Like, no.
What a bastard! Come on, Riquelme. I'm a Boca fan too. Come on, man, have some respect. Okay, so. Is there any good jersey swap stories you got for us?
Yeah, I don't really swap jerseys.
I knew it. I knew he wouldn't swap
I have
jerseys.
some really, really strange ones. I have a Grenada shirt because one of the Grenada players wanted to swap with me.
That's good.
I have a Uli Yanes, who played for Herenveen in the Eredivisie, an American guy.
Okay.
I have Yunus Musa Valencia.
Ooh, that's a good one.
That's a good one.
Actually, I got Frankie de Jong shirt because my girlfriend is Dutch, and so I gave it to her dad. But that's it.
What a man! Oh my God!
That's amazing. That's a good shout.
He said, "Okay, this is how I get into the family right here, big, right to the heart."
You love it. You love it.
Luca, when he plays Sunday League now, so it's like
that's amazing. Well, Luca, thank you so much for your time. Good luck this weekend in San Diego FC's home opener, their first ever game at Snapdragon Stadium. And we, of course, wish you the best of luck throughout the season. And with the U.S. men's national team, we're pulling for you to get called up either in March or in the Gold Cup, or both, or whatever it may be. So continued success, my man. Thank you for coming on.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, all the best.
Luca De La Torre. Awesome.